Welcome to Behind the Paranormal with Paul and Ben Eno.
Who are the phantom meter readers? Was George Washington touched by an angel? What about those UFO photos taken in Rhode Island in 1967?
Hello and welcome to the 811th broadcast of Behind the Paranormal with Paul and Ben Eno. I'm Ben, and those motley questions came from my co-host, partner in the Paranormal, and Dad, Paul. And today we bring you an open line show with our favorite guest co-host, Shane Sirois.
And as always, I'm very happy to be here.
Now, we have a major event to report, and of course it is Shane's birthday. And he went and blew it because I thought that he wouldn't know that we knew that it was his birthday.
He
and
knew
we wanted to surprise him. Yeah, that's something like that. Yeah. So happy natal anniversary, Shane! And for anybody watching on the air, we wanted to give you a present, a brand new copy of my just released book, "Dancing Past the Graveyard: Parasites, Poltergeists, Parallel Worlds, and God." And Shane brought us some cake, which we will have at some point later today, and we're very grateful for that. So again, congratulations, Shane.
Thank you very much.
You did it.
Great looking book, too.
On a more somber note, we need to, of course, acknowledge our very dear friend Michael Mitchell, who translated very recently. And
very unexpectedly, too.
Very unexpectedly, too.
Horrific.
Michael was, I think, unique. The thing that I always noticed, of course, and we all loved Michael and his lovely wife, Michelle, who were just the most beautiful couple I think I've ever seen.
Yes.
They just glowed with love, and I think that certainly, I've talked with Michelle, and there is a great awareness that this love is never wasted, and that it will uplift, as it echoes across the multiverse, will uplift generations of people, even if they don't know it. And so Godspeed, Michael. We'll always be with you in many worlds, and we all will continue to love you. And he was, as a matter of fact, one my own memory about Michael, and we all share this, I think, is that he was a brilliant cartoonist, and he would do a lot of things from New Hampshire. He was from Portsmouth area, New Hampshire history and paranormal history particularly. And we all looked forward to the day when we will have made it in the paranormal, when Michael would turn us into cartoon characters in one of his comic books, which were extremely lucid and very educational.
Yes.
So a unique person, a unique life, and we celebrate that today.
And his fictional comics were super cool.
Yeah.
I really liked the one series that he had, which was Zombie Sub.
Oh, yes.
And it was I bought a couple of the comics, and it was amazing. It was just like it was so clever, and it was just a mishmash of a bunch of different like tropes from like 50s and 60s sci-fi stuff, and it was so fun to read.
I remember. Well, I should mention. I believe that referred to the Zombie Sub referred to the USS Albacore in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, which is actually ashore and is in a memorial in a museum where people can visit. And Michael's ashes have been laid to rest at that site at the submarine. So anyone wishes to pay respects to Michael in that way, you're welcome to visit the museum and to see that. And that's a real tribute to him, because he loved the sea and he loved that submarine. You know?
Yes.
And
so,
I'd
say to the listeners too, help his wife, support his wife, and pick up some copies of the comic books. They're wonderful.
Absolutely.
And when I first met Michael and Michelle, it was like the type of people that you feel like you've known your whole life. You
exactly.
know? Yeah. And very warm, very close. You know, you could trust them 100% with anything. You know, just loving people, and what a loss. And my heart breaks for Michelle.
Yeah.
So
they would be present at all the UFO conferences and many other things that we were not present at, and we'd always look forward to seeing them, and they'd be there front and center, and always with a smile. So, many years to Michelle, and memory eternal for Michael.
Indeed.
Okay. So we have open lines today, as we said. So I'll repeat the number Ben said. It's 401-766-1240 from anywhere. And again, Paul at BehindTheParanormal.com or any of the other social media things. So let's go to, I think, actually, why don't we go right away to the questions from our I guess he's sort of our honorary co-host.
I'm trying to think of like an alliteration. for Peter's questions, like the Peter minute, the Peter.
Yeah, we should establish a feature on the show. But anyway, Peter is a very, very faithful listener from Bogota, Colombia, and he asks several questions. So let's begin with number 1, and then we'll get to some others, and then get back to Peter's other questions.
Okie dokie. So let us start from the very beginning. You have mentioned you have had a case where people dressed in National Grid uniforms and were acting and doing something mysterious. Can you recount that in more detail?
Sure. In New England here, it's ironic, Eastern New England anyway, parts of it, we have the same utility company as the United Kingdom does, which is funny. It's funny, you go over there and you see National Grid trucks. It just seems kind of interesting. But my cousins over there have the same comments and praises and complaints sometimes about the utilities that we have. So in any case, there was a period, and it was not recent. This goes back about 3 to 4 years. I think you were not married yet and still living at home, Ben.
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, and there would be young men who would come to the door wanting to get into our basement, and they said they wanted to put some kind of a meter on our gas meter or some sort of
the smart meter.
Yeah, and I get that. I mean, it was a pain. Like in the 1940s and 50s, they'd come to your door. I remember this. Come to your door and have to go down in your basement and read the meter. Well, whereas this would allow them to drive by in a truck and read the gas meter for the month. But there was just something wrong about these people. I would ask for ID. Sometimes they would show it. If they were military types, seemingly.
Yeah.
And I called the utility company on a number of occasions, not a number, I should say 3 occasions at least, and they did not know who these people were. So somebody was trying to get into the house. The show, I think, at that point was kind of taking off.
I think we were on CBS.
We were still on CBS at that point, and that was, so maybe it was getting more attention. Now, again, not to be paranoid, maybe it was nothing, but I mean, when you call in with the guy's badge number and they don't know who it is, that's pretty creepy.
Mm-hmm. Right? So, I mean, what's the saying? I'm not paranoid. Everyone else is out to get me or something.
Yeah, I wouldn't be paranoid if everybody wasn't against me.
There we go.
So anyway, we just we never figured that out. They never got in, as far as I know, unless your brother let him in when I was in there.
just
I don't know.
Mess with you.
Yeah, with his good heart. But I just I don't know. That's as far as it was. I have heard other stories similar to this, and of course this is related, I guess, by implication to the Men in Black kind of phenomenon where these people show up and tell you not to talk about your UFO sighting. Well, that hasn't happened to me yet. So I don't know. Shane, are there any thoughts on that? You ever heard of anything like this?
Oh yeah, it happens to me all the time. Well, I would say probably at least 10 times over the last 4 years, and over like the last 4 years, at least 10 times. So a white van, I've been followed by a white van numerous times. I've seen him following from a distance, and it just seemed kind of odd because of the roads I was taking, that this van was taking every turn I was on. And I pulled into a grocery store parking lot, and he parked on the other side. I went in, bought whatever I was buying, can't come back out, and he had a newspaper up in front of his face, but like he was reading it, but he wasn't. He was staring at me, and so I started walking over to him, and he peeled out of the parking lot.
Wow!
So it was confirmation that he was actually following me.
Yeah.
Black SUV I've seen at least 5 times that have showed up on jobs. Like, I'm self-employed, so I work in different homes, different things. I'm never at the same place, so it could have happened the first time I'm at a certain location where I'm working. All of a sudden I walk by a window or a slider or whatever, and I see a strange black SUV. I've owned them all, and I don't know what make this is. It's very cool looking, but very weird. Strange plates I don't recognize, and a gentleman staring up at me, or at me through the window or door. And I've tried to approach it, but I've run out of the house and it'd be gone by the time I get out there. Or this one other time it drove away really fast. And then also when I do, I do different shows and stuff, and the more popular ones, when I talk about some of my theories and show some of the pictures that we have of these creatures, I've had black helicopters within hours circling, not only just going over my house, which we never see black helicopters ever, only when I do these shows, and they'll circle around my house a couple times, they'll go and they'll come back, circle around a couple again. The last time I did Midnight in the Desert. I had an Apache trying to land on my roof. Literally, like it was right above my house, and by the time I got out there, it was just over my tree line. I got a picture of it and everything, but
wow, yeah.
And I don't know what that was about.
Well, the funny thing is, you live in a rural area, so it'll be much more obvious when this happens. But so I mean, we live in it's not urban, but I mean it's suburban, I guess. Although it starts to be rural after our house, but we might not notice. There's more activity here, like in Woonsocket, than there is in maybe in New Ipswich, New Hampshire, and so maybe we wouldn't notice if things like this are happening. There are things flying over all the time.
I remember when you had the white van and the things coming to your house when you first started, and you told me about it. At that same time, I started getting weird phone calls with like 0000 and weird noise in the background, people I could hear someone on the other end, but they won't talk. I was getting flooded with them all of a sudden around the same time too. I wonder if it was related.
Well, that's not beyond the realm of conception. I mean. So one of the things, just looking back to my military days, what you do is you try to back engineer the experience in the sense that you would say, okay, well, who knew I was going to be here at this particular time? Would they have a bit of security risk, et cetera, and that kind of thing, for as far as it'll take you. But today, I'm talking 40 years ago. So today, you got all kinds of GPS and tracking devices that most people didn't have in those days.
Yeah, right.
Anyway, so we have a caller, Ben?
Well, no.
We don't.
No. I think I hit the wrong button there.
It was one of the phantom meter readers.
Hold on.
Okay. All right. So, in any case, the phantom meter readers is that's I guess what Peter is referring to, and we just don't know exactly what the origins were or the reasons that sort of thing. So in any case, we do have a caller here, and I think I know who it might be. We're preparing for a wonderful event coming up in a few weeks. And who do we have with us today, Ben?
We have Susan Spooler of the Greater New England UFO Conference on the line. Susan, you with us?
Yes, I am.
What a coincidence. We were just talking about you.
My ears were burning.
Yes. So what's cooking in a few weeks, Susan, as if we didn't know, but let's let the listeners know.
October 4th and 5th at Leominster City Hall. It's Friday night from 6 to 10 p.m. and Saturday from 8 to 6. Having the Greater New England UFO Conference, our 7th annual. And you and Ben will be speaking during the Bigfoot evening event. We also have Jonathan Wilkes from Massachusetts, Alexander Petikov, who's been doing research on Champy up on Lake Champlain, as well as all of the sightings of mountain lions throughout New England. And our website, just so you know, is newenglandufo.com, if people want to check that out.
Excellent.
newenglandufo.com. Cheryl Foster will be coming down from Syracuse. She's written an amazing book about statistics of where UFOs have been seen by city, by county, and it's quite fascinating. It's a big, thick book. She'll have those for sale at the conference. We'll be having Bill Hall and Jimmy Pentonito talking about their book regarding Voices from the Beyond. Calvin Parker will be joining us via Skype. He was supposed to be flying up, but due to some health issues, he will be giving his talk about the Pascagoula abduction experience at our conference. We will be having Dennis Stone, who owns America's Stonehenge. He'll be talking about astroastronomy. And Roxy Zwicker will be our keynote speaker, and she just sent me something. The sorcery of strange skies will be her topic. Roxy's a historian out of Portsmouth, New Hampshire. She gives haunted tours on her trolley throughout York Beach, Maine, as well as Portsmouth, New Hampshire. We'll be having an amazing time. We have a dedicated food truck called Sirloin.
It's very good. I can testify.
You had sirloin?
Once, yeah. I can't remember the context, but they're very good.
Good. That's excellent. Yeah, we were lucky to get him this year, and so we will be having the usual raffles, and there'll be real. The Dave McCullough will have real handprints and footprints of Bigfoot available for people to see. and touch if they want to. So it's a lot of wonderful things for sale.
It is. I just testify that we've been there almost since it started. I think since it started, we've been kind of part of it, and it's just a wonderful, one of our favorite events of the year, and it's a lot of fun. So we'll continue to promote up to the time, and I will get back to you with the subject of our talk this afternoon, Susan.
That's okay, no problem. I was in my garage inflating aliens. We have a couple of big we have the two 8.5-foot tall aliens in the front of Leominster City Hall. We strap them to the poles there. So
yeah, the whole community gets into the spirit.
Absolutely.
That's great. So, right.
Well, thanks for giving me a chance to talk, and I look forward to seeing everybody. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Can't wait. We'll see you then. I'll be talking to you in the meantime, of course.
Thanks, Paul. Take care, everyone.
Right. Thank you, Susan.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
very good. Yeah, we'll repeat the information about the event and during our announcements, of course. Okay, so let's move on to, we have a question from Phil from Philadelphia. Okay. I suppose there must be at least one Phil in Philadelphia.
No, only one.
You didn't see what I did there.
I did see what you did there.
Right,
I just chose
it wasn't worth responding to. Okay. All right, Ben, take it away, please.
Okie dokie. So Phil writes to us. I really enjoyed Behind the Paranormal, Everything You Know Is Wrong. I had never read the story of George Washington and the Angel. You came across in the book as very skeptical about it. Is it possible for God to pick a side in a war or to bless one country over another?
Well, that's a different a question of a different color that we usually receive. It's, if you look back through, and under another hat, I'm a writer about history, and one of the things that's always kind of creeped me out, having both a theological education and a historical bent, is that you've got some really ominous things that have happened throughout history. For example, in World War I, the first really knockdown, drag-out, hideous, not that war isn't always hideous, but, poison gas, things that had never been used before, generally.
Before the rules of the Geneva Convention were in effect.
Well, such as they are. But, you had the Germans were convinced God was on their side. The Turks, who a lot of people don't realize were on the German side in that war, thought God was on their side. So you had Muslims and Christians thinking the same thing. The British and the Americans called upon God being on their side. Not only does it demean God, in my opinion, and make God very, very small, it really can be a very dangerous attitude to have, to think that God is on your side when you're trying to kill other people or do anything else, for that matter. It's arrogant. This is my opinion. It's arrogant. It certainly lacks humility, which any approach to God needs to have, and it's not really good at all. The Angel and George Washington, to which the to which Phil is referring, is a small section in Behind the Paranormal, Everything You Know Is Wrong. The book Ben and I wrote in 2016 together, was published by Schiffer. It was a matter of George Washington supposedly during the terrible winter of 1778 in Pennsylvania. The winter was so bad, obviously the war generally, armies would actually retire for the winter to special camps because you really couldn't fight in the winter with 18th century technology. So supposedly he was in his quarters, and an angel appeared to him and told him don't give up, because he was considering surrender at that point because so many people were dying and freezing to death, and supplies were very, very short. And this angel supposedly said, don't get discouraged, son of the Republic, the angel supposedly said, and all sorts of things about, a vision of the angel carrying the American flag and this sort of thing. And I get that, but and I wonder about the validity of this story, because it came out in the late 1800s by the descendant of somebody who supposedly was there, and I've never been able to find the name of the officer among Washington's officers at Valley Forge, Pennsylvania. So I don't know. There are some questions about the validity of this. But the fact is that whether it happened or not, it affected people's vision of the American destiny and history. And believe me, don't get me wrong. I'm a U.S. veteran. I am deeply proud to be in America. This country is unique in history. And so, I'm not in any way saying that, we've done something very unique in this country, and other countries have taken And we took a lot of lessons from the best of the United Kingdom, and et cetera, et cetera. So I'm not denigrating in any way. And believe me, if you think America's flawed, wait till you see the alternative. So we'll put it that way. So I think that, but nevertheless, I think that greatness requires a certain amount of humility. Where there is greatness, there will be great mistakes, and to have God on your side means that you might not recognize them as mistakes. So that's my opinion. Shane, you look like you've got an opinion on this.
I can't say anything better than you just said. I think that was perfect. Perfect.
Well, I wish you'd been one of my professors at the seminary. Right?
Good job.
Very good job.
Ben, any thoughts on this?
Yeah, sure. Well, America's fun for a couple of different reasons. I think it is mostly the civil religion is a really fun topic in history because it's always...
That's a very interesting point because I think it's disappearing.
Yeah, and I mean it always kind of existed. It still does in a very odd form, but it's taken more of a form of social ideals rather than deifying political figures. I believe. I think the worship of an ideal is different than worshiping a political figure. I think that's where it's heading now. But back in the day, civil religion was a really big deal, and I think for some of the things that we've done in our country's done in the past, you need to have some sort of logic behind it. Like, manifest destiny, right?
Yeah.
That's like one of the big point twos of
the idea that we had the right to take the whole North America all the way to the Pacific Ocean.
Yeah, exactly.
Despite the natives, yeah.
Exactly. We had to have some sort of reason for it, so why not use a religious one?
That's right. Yeah, that's true. There were religious implications and reasons attributed to many of the policies the country had.
Oh yeah, and to
in other countries
too. To a degree, still.
Yeah.
There's actually a really interesting documentary that came out on Netflix I've been meaning to watch, and I think it's called The Family. It's about this sort of fundamentalist sort of group that funds a lot of political figures on both sides of the aisle. It's really interesting. I would check it out.
You're talking about The Family.
Yes.
That came up yesterday, and I don't have a lot of time to watch TV, and I have started to watch it. I don't know how much there is to this.
There probably isn't, but documentaries are tricky because there's a certain amount.
I think I'd call it more of a docudrama.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
I don't know how much credence to put in this. I'd heard of things like this, but I don't know.
No, I don't think it's a real thing either. But I think it's a good example of civil religion.
Yeah. Have you seen that, Shane?
No.
No. Okay.
It's an interesting idea, but I don't think it's true. Documentaries basically, they start with a viewpoint. And the tricky thing with documentaries is you're sort of automatically trained through watching all sorts of other media and listening and reading that you're automatically taking a viewpoint of whatever the focus of it is.
Sure, yeah.
So it tricks you kind of into taking that viewpoint, like numerous, diet documentaries, right?
Yeah.
Because they basically are like, all right, this is the viewpoint we're taking. We're going to go through this whole thing with that same viewpoint. And, it kind of like tricks you because, you're used to taking that same viewpoint of everything else. Anyway, I digress.
Yeah.
So, civil religion. I think this is a great example of, kind of it being taken to the next degree of things being taken a step a little too far. Mm-hmm. It would be like saying that, Ezekiel came down in the middle of the Gettysburg Address. Like something like that. I think that this is kind of like, all right, well, it's gone a little bit too far, but maybe at the time this was kind of like, oh, okay, cool, yeah, we should really look up to our political figures because they did do something great.
Well, because the media at the time thought Lincoln was wrong and it was dumb and made fun of the Gettysburg Address. But
well, that's fair.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I think that this sort of next step in deifying, a country's founding father, next to Mount Rushmore, is something in that realm of maybe it did happen. Who knows? We don't know. But
we don't. But to get to the root of the question, I don't know if we've approached that. can God or would God adopt a nation or bless a nation? I mean, I can't speak for God. I'm like I can speak for myself.
I think the religion is used.
I think it goes beyond countries. It goes beyond tribalism and anything else that we have. But I think that we have to realize that God would bless anyone of good heart, of good spirit, and the positive things that repel parasites and negativity.
Yeah,
would be just by their very nature blessed.
I think the religion too is mostly throughout history has been used as justification to carry out evil actions.
Absolutely, yes. So I think God is bigger than all that, bigger than countries, bigger than all that, bigger than Earth, to say the least, and is not our servant. So I think we'd just say that all good things we'd like to are blessed, and things that are negative are not, regardless of our viewpoint on them. And we have a caller. Oh, we have someone we haven't heard from in a while, but I had the pleasure of seeing at the Cumberland Library the other night at my presentation. Bill from Franklin. Bill, how are you, my friend?
Okay, I'm good.
So what do you have for us today?
Funny. See you one day, and then the next day I was doing my radio show, my internet radio show, and I was playing songs, rain songs. And as I was doing it, I kept thinking, I've already done it before. I've done it before, and I know darn well I have not done it before.
Okay, so like a deja vu experience.
Yeah. And I postponed the show a couple of times, but when I actually did it felt strange, like I already did it, and I haven't.
Yeah. I think that happens to all of us. And we, where can people hear your show, by the way?
You can go to my archive. All my shows are there. Mixcloud.com/WAW5114.
Okay. I hope somebody wrote that down. Anyway, very good, Bill. Yeah, I think, and the issue of deja vu, maybe Shane has a comment too, but in my opinion, with our viewpoint on the multiverse, the idea that all these things are happening in many different varieties, many ways, and many worlds, you're simply aware of one of those worlds, and that's why you seem to remember having been there when you haven't been there in this world. Shane, what say you?
I'm right there with you. That's the best explanation for it. I mean, we don't know anything for certain, but that's my viewpoint as well.
Okay, Ben?
Funny.
No, I kind of agree with you there.
Okay. You're a good boy, Ben. You're a good boy.
When I think of the multiverse, I think, maybe the Beatles recorded songs that they never recorded in this.
That's very true. Well, you wonder about that. It's funny you bring that up because I've heard stories of songs being heard by. They come over somebody's TV or something that's very unlikely, and the signal is out there somewhere.
On Facebook, there was a cassette tape that was recorded in another universe, and it has songs the Beatles never recorded here.
Well, the financial implications are interesting, but you're certainly right. I mean, all that is entirely possible. So there you go. But anyway, Bill, thank you for the call. It's always great to hear from you.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Okay. All right, so let's see. Who do we deal with here?
Well, it's kind of time for our break. So.
It's time for a break. Oh, my gosh, yeah, we're over time here. You're listening to Behind the Paranormal with Paul and Ben Eno, with our special guest co-host Shane Sirois today on our Open Line Show on WOON 1240 AM and 99.5 in FM in New England's beautiful Blackstone River Valley. And I like that saying, local and live on 99.5. So stick with us. We'll be right back.
Are you tired of the same old dishing and depressing chatter in the morning radio? Then don't get down. Get up with me, Dave Richards, from 5 to 8 a.m. each weekday. On the Road with Joe, fun, the trivia quiz, and interesting stories, and your favorite tunes by your request. Don't get down. Get up with Dave. Weekday mornings only on ON, AM, and FM.
Welcome back to Behind the Paranormal with Paul and Ben Eno on WOON 1240 AM and 99.5 FM in New England's beautiful Blackstone River Valley. And I love that promo, Ben. I never heard that before. You used to co-host with Joe Callahan that morning show.
I only did it for like a week and a half or so. Yeah,
but it felt like a year.
It wasn't the morning fun show. It was the or maybe it was the morning fun show. I don't remember because it was it was a while ago.
Yeah, that's good.
It was a very
good
long
show.
time
It's a
ago.
great show. So tune in if you can. All right, let's get back to our listener questions here. And why don't we take the next question from Peter in Bogota, Colombia.
Okie dokie. So, Peter writes to us, John Keel reported phantom meter readers that supposedly would go into a basement and vanish.
Oh, didn't we already cover that?
No.
I guess
well, not vanishing ones, no.
Okay, well, let's go on to the vanishing phantom meter readers.
So, do you have any reports like that, is the question?
Well, they never got that far past our door to be able to vanish. But Shane, have you ever heard any? I have heard of things like that, but not firsthand. Shane, have you ever heard?
Not that I can recall. No, I don't.
Okay,
I don't think I've not vanishing meter readers. No.
Well, it does reek of the urban legend kind of thing, where something will happen and then it gets passed around and embellished, and it's entirely possible that this sort of thing can happen, and particularly from the multiversal point of view.
Oh, and for sure.
But I think that it's just the urban legend phenomenon is very interesting. Whole books have been written about it. I suppose the rat or wombat or something that's adopted by somebody who thinks it's a dog. And the elephant that sits on the Volkswagen. I mean, these are all old-time stories that have been passed around in America, and particularly American, but really all over the world in urban legends. So maybe the meter reader goes into the basement, never comes out, might be another one of these. But I have heard from second and third hand stories similar to this of public workers or public utility people who not necessarily always in basements, but have come in, even walked down the hallway and never been seen again. Needless to say, rather disconcerting for the homeowner. So in any case, we just I have no first-hand accounts of that, but have heard second-hand accounts.
And we do have a caller.
Okay, and hello, welcome to Behind the Paranormal on WOON. Who do we have the pleasure of speaking with today?
This is Aurelio Maraca. How you doing, guys?
Oh, Aurelio, my gosh, how are you? Aurelio from the Danbury Public Library. I can't imagine why you're calling. I'm kidding.
I don't know why.
We have another great event coming up in October, and perhaps Aurelio can tell us about it.
It's going to be the Western Connecticut UFO Conference. It basically commemorates the 1980s event of where we had waves. What do you call it? A wave or a buzz
or
flap?
Yeah.
Of a gigantic or massive V-shaped UFO that hovered over the Hudson Valley area, including Danbury, Connecticut, other parts of Connecticut and New York State, that were seen by thousands upon thousands of people. So we're going to commemorate that and also talk about other topics that are related to the paranormal, to UFOs and everything. So it's going to be quite a great event on that day, Saturday, October 19th, from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. And we also have you and Ben as one of our presenters. So what are you going to be talking about on that day?
Well, don't forget Shane. Shane is here with us today, and he's going to be
presenting. Shane, how you doing?
Good.
Sorry, I didn't know that you were there.
Oh, yeah. How you doing?
And Shane is also one of our presenters as well, too. So he's going to be talking as well as Paul and Ben. So we have other folks as well, Linda Zimmerman, who has written a few books on the Hudson Valley sightings.
Linda's
as
great.
Well as,
yeah.
And as well as Michael Panicello, who is the executive director of MUFON Connecticut, and Mark D'Antonio, who is the chief photo video analyst for MUFON Connecticut as well.
Yeah, and one of our show guest co-hosts from time to time. Well, to answer your question, we are pretty much settled on the topic of Wars of the Gods. And I think we were going to start with the remarkable UFO video that Shane and I and several others. Mark D'Antonio was supposed to be there, and he couldn't come and will suffer terrible anguish for the rest of his life because he simply was not able to witness this. But he considers it one of the two best UFO videos he's ever seen, and we got it in Pennsylvania. So that's not exactly the Hudson Valley, but we can start with that. But to get into Wars of the Gods and what it might mean, and what even the local implications in America might be, if this was related to UFOs, and it almost certainly was. So that is our tentative topic. We'll get you a definitive word on that. Shane, what are you talking about at the festival this year?
I'll be talking about strange disappearances going on. There's been thousands and thousands of people that go missing under mysterious circumstances, and Some people believe it is Sasquatch, but I don't believe that to be. For me, I think we're dealing with something different. Not to say that Sasquatch wouldn't abduct somebody from time to time, but when you have strange lights in the area right around the time the person goes missing, strange humming sounds, people seeing UFOs in the area, things of that nature, and then these people go missing, and whatever this is, I'll be talking about how intelligent it is and how it chooses its victims and stuff. So I think it could definitely be UFO and alien related.
I personally can't wait to hear that one. But, okay, Aurelio, give us one more time the place, date, and time.
It's going to be on Saturday, October 19th of this year, from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. at the Danbury Public Library in Danbury, Connecticut, and the address is 170 Main Street, Danbury, Connecticut.
Okay, then the website to register?
The website to register, go to danburylibrary.org, go to Visit, go to Events and Programs, and go to October 19th, and you shall see a little event listing for the Western Connecticut UFO Conference, and you can register via that link.
Very good. Aurelio, thank you for calling in, and we'll be looking forward to seeing you there.
Yes, and I'll see. Can't wait to see you and Ben, and hopefully get a copy of your book. and
only if you ask nicely.
And congratulations on your book being launched, Paul and Ben. So it's fantastic, and I hope to see you as well too, Shane, on Saturday. I'm looking forward to it. It's always a very awesome part of my year at the library to have the UFO conference.
Well, ours too. Well, thank you, Aurelio, and thank you for organizing it. We'll see you there.
No problem.
Okay, very
Bye-bye.
good. Okay, so let's move on. We have a couple more questions to get to. We're not going to get to them, I'm sure.
Probably not, but we can try.
We can try. What's our next sort of non-Peter question? We'll get to Peter's if we can. We want to get everybody in here if we can.
Okie dokie. So we have Carlos from Lincoln, Rhode Island.
Oh, somebody local.
And Carlos writes to us, how can you tell the difference between UFOs and other strange lights? Where do you draw the line? Does an object have to be a craft in order to be a UFO? Is just seeing one considered an encounter?
That's an interesting question. Obviously, anything UFO means unidentified flying object, and then there are also unidentified aerial phenomena. UAPs is also a term that's coming in. Anything that's in the sky whose identity you do not know is, I guess, in a broad sense, a UFO. Stan Friedman, the late Stan Friedman, our good friend, was always saying that he preferred the term flying saucers because it differentiated craft or something ultra weird from just something in the sky that you didn't know the identity of. So I don't know, Shane, did you? I get the question. I mean, how do you tell? Is it a craft that's going to land with legs and little gray guys are going to jump out, or is it just a what they used to call swamp gas or whatever?
Yeah. I mean, I've seen UFOs that are definitely craft. I mean, without a doubt, they're constructed. They are a craft. But then I've also seen in many different situations balls of light that are simply just a ball of light that I can tell, and they often seem to have some kind of agenda or intelligence to them. They don't just appear like people say ball lightning or whatever. They definitely seem to have some type of agenda. They could be as big as larger than a basketball, all the way down to small little balls of light. Actually, we right before our sighting in Pennsylvania, you were seeing a lot of white light around, balls of light swimming around you
in the field above where we saw the craft.
We didn't know this, but Chuck Credo and I, we were also seeing the same thing, but we weren't sure if there were, fireflies in our peripheral until we started to see them directly with our own eyes. And I saw one the size of, Ben's car, it was about 30 feet above the house, just hovering there, and then it just took off and disappeared. Right in the direction actually where that tone stopped, where it traveled towards. But definitely seem to be two totally different things, but they they both seem to appear in the same places. I mean, you've got lights appearing in areas where people see Bigfoot. You get lights appearing in homes that are supposed to be haunted. You got lights appearing, during UFO settings. I mean, so there's some kind of connection there. And but I think that I do believe that they're different. They just the lights are different than a crafted UFO. I just think there might be a relationship between the two of them, though, in some way.
The fascinating stuff that Shane refers to, if people would like to see that, they can come to the station website here, onworldwide.com, go to ON TV on Demand, and if you just scroll back to the May 26th edition of Behind the Paranormal, this show, there's a video of all this stuff and explanations from all the witnesses. And we did a 2-hour special on location in Pennsylvania from that week. Otherwise, you can find it on various podcast platforms as well. So, okay, yeah. So I think it's just a matter of differentiating terms, as we always say. Define your terms before you start using them for definitions of other things. So, Ben, any thoughts on that on the question?
No, I kind of agree with you that it doesn't. An unidentified flying object is just an unidentified flying object. Right. It doesn't necessarily mean it's like an extraterrestrial or anything. But
it's different. You can't really tell the difference unless it's identified.
Yeah, exactly.
So the very nature of the unidentified means it's
pretty much. I mean, it could even be like some sort of experimental plane that's just unidentified. Yeah.
Do we have the Helen's question from?
Oh yes, we do.
Yeah, because we
which is actually next.
Okay, great. Let's do Helen's questions because it's illustrated.
Sure. So, Helen writes to us, and she's from Woonsocket, right here in good old hometown here.
Yeah.
Hi boys, love the show. You sometimes talk about Joe Ferrier and his UFO studies. I have always been interested in that too. You have never said what you think about his work and the pictures he took in Cumberland in the 1960s. The 1967 Harold Trudell and Joe Ferrier in Woonsocket.
Interesting. So if you happen to be watching the TV feed on any device, Ben has put up the photos. If you're listening on a radio or a non-video device, you can go to behindtheparanormal.com. Okay, and to the...
Sorry, I was just trying to help Shane see, and I turned the monitor a little too much.
Right now, this will be posted later, but the talking points page for this show, you can reach it by hitting the upcoming shows on the links, the menu there, and you'll see the promo for this show, and then it'll say... see the UFO photographs or something to that effect. Hit that, and you'll be able to see the. I know it's complicated, but radio has its limitations. So the top photo, if you were looking able to see it, was taken by Joe Ferrier. Now Joe was a dear friend of ours. We knew him very well. He had the afternoon daily talk show on WOON here for over 50 years. And we would always look forward to coming in when we had the Monday drive time slot on our show to come in and see Joe, and because we were back to back with him, it was always great. And he came on our show once after great encouragement to do so. It took him a while to decide, and he said things he had never said in public before about his UFO experiences. And he was well known in the 1960s as publisher of Probe magazine. It wasn't huge, but it had a good readership. He was. His life was so topsy-turvy because of the experiences he had, including what we would call today Men in Black experiences, that at one point in the end of the 1960s, he decided, so he told us, to just drop the subject in hopes that his life would go back to normal, and it did. So he said. So, but in any case, before it went back to normal, he took this rather remarkable photograph of a very long cigar-shaped UFO over, it was kind of the Cumberland-Woonsocket town lines, in Rhode Island here. And the photo below, if you can see it, is of a more conventional craft that our previous questioner might consider an identifiable bizarre craft, extraterrestrial or whatever, taken over Cumberland, Rhode Island, again near the Woonsocket Cumberland line in 1967. So, and I think the writer is correct. I don't remember ever expressing a judgment on the legitimacy of these photos. But personally, my judgment of the legitimacy of a photo has a lot to do with the legitimacy of the person who took it. Now, Harold Trudell is somewhat of a mystery to us. We don't know him. We don't even know if he's still with us. Joe, however, translated, I believe it was 2010 or 2012, and I just don't have any reason to believe that he would in any way be dishonest. As I say, he was a very honest person. This photographic fakery is an art, even today, really. And I just can't imagine Joe ever doing that. Software didn't exist at that time to really do that. You'd have to be very knowledgeable about photographic negatives, things of that kind. And we trusted Joe implicitly. So the upper photo, fine. The Trudell photo, I don't know. If I don't know, then I don't want to express an opinion on it. I think people should make their own choices. What do you fellas say?
I agree. And, if I was going to fake a UFO photo, I wouldn't. I think I would make it look a little bit other than cigar shape. Why would you choose that if you're going to fake one?
Yeah, right.
But I know they have been spotted quite
sure.
quite a lot, especially in the past.
Yeah. Yeah, somehow they're not as common anymore. Now the triangle shapes.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, in addition, I don't know, people can see it with whatever resolution they're looking at, but there's not only the long object. There was a smaller object down and to the right that supposedly came out of that. Joe said it came out of it, and we can't really criticize that, because as we watched this object or whatever it was in Pennsylvania in May of 2019, something came out of it, went back into it.
Yeah.
So we all saw that with our own eyes.
Do you know every time I show that video to somebody, whether it's a customer or a friend, a lot of expletives.
Yes, they've been.
That's what I get. It's just it amazes everybody.
Yes.
It's amazing.
Well, our little cousin, which is not so little anymore, was starting and said, "What?" So that's something we can repeat on the air, but it was an expression of amazement anyway. So Ben, any thoughts? Have you ever thought about this?
Have I thought about these specific pictures?
Yeah.
I actually have thought about them before, because I remember Joe, I don't think he showed them to me, but I think I somehow we got our hands on a copy of Probe.
Oh, yeah, he gave me one.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, he gave us a copy of Probe magazine, the magazine he used to do, and I remember looking at them and just be like, this is amazing stuff, and it's fascinating because you expect with the photography equipment at the time that you wouldn't get such clear and good images, but you do. And I was always amazed by that and the quality of the photography there, that I was like, there's no way that any of these could be hoaxes. And plus, Joe is such a genuine guy.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
That you can. I remember showing these people someone probably just faked that. It's like, no, I think in most cases, knowing the photographer, the people that are experiencing these things is key, because knowing Joe, he was just a very, pardon the pun, a down to earth guy, and he was just like, here's some pictures, make of it what you will.
As I say, Mr. Trudell, I don't know. I don't know him, and I don't know. So, but people can judge for themselves.
Indeed.
So there we are. So do we have time for maybe one more, or no? Is there anything brief in there?
Oh, actually, yes.
Okay.
Well, it may not be so brief. The ones that are short questions are never really short. But let's go with this one. So Jack from Pomfret.
Pomfret, Connecticut?
Yes. Oh. Yeah, we'll go with that one. Jack from Pomfret, Connecticut writes to us, what's your opinion about guardian angels? Do you believe in them? And what are they?
All right. 25 words or less there.
Basically.
Yeah. Well, certainly, yeah. I mean, there are reasons for all beliefs of this kind. Something happened in the human condition that got people thinking about it. But I believe, personally, having had my life saved in very, very mysterious and amazing circumstances twice, both in the military, that I certainly believe in neighbors from parallel realities who certainly fill the role of guardian angels and may very well be on, at the risk of trivializing it, sort of be on God's payroll, so to speak. That's kind of a silly simplification, but I think that anyone who does good things, particularly in a dramatic manner, certainly deserves the term guardian angel and may be the reason why we believe in them. So I absolutely believe in that concept and have no problem with it whatsoever. No, Shane?
Yeah, I have the other two. I've had quite a few experiences where, whether it be unseen a presence or ones that I've actually seen have saved me in many ways, either my life or saved me from harm, or guided me. But on many occasions, and there's definitely something to it. What exactly are they? I don't know, because like I've said in some of my lectures and on radio, it's some of them look like they're trying way too hard to look human. They don't look right to me, and it's almost like if you take, a picture, like say we're in a lit room right now, and take a picture of you, Paul, and then cut you out of that picture and put you into this room with no lights. The people seem more brighter than they should be. Not that they're illuminating light. It just they seem out of place. But yeah, definitely I've experienced them. It is real. I don't know exactly what they are, but they've saved me.
All right. Yes, I have let's take a little. Ben, why don't you read this? This is from Dave Richards.
I got it on my phone as well.
Oh, you got okay. Yeah, it's a comment on the question regarding the photographs. Can you read that?
So our illustrious station manager, Dave Richards, just sent my
who is the next thing to a guardian angel, in my opinion.
Yeah, basically. I mean, he is technically above us right now. He wrote to us that he knew Harold, and for what? And
Harold Trudell.
He said, while he cannot vouch for him, he said, I know that Gerald believed Harold, and I never saw or heard anything to make me question Joe's judgments.
Well, that's good enough for me. I mean, if Joe Ferry had trusted Harold, I think that means a great deal. So thank you, Dave, for that. That's a very important insight. Okay, so we have a lot of announcements.
We do. Okay. I was just going to say, we're coming down to the wire.
So God bless all guardian angels, and we'll continue now into our announcements.
And thank you all for the questions.
Yes, good questions.
And we'll save them for next time.
We'll save the rest for next time. My book, Dancing Past the Graveyard, Poltergeists, Parasites, Parallel Worlds, and God, officially debuted yesterday at the Toadstool Bookshop in Keene, New Hampshire. And it is in other stores. Ben and I received a lovely thank you card from the staff at the Toadstool Bookshop, who signed themselves the Toads, which I thought was just absolutely adorable. Anyway, they have all our books in stock as of yesterday. Anyway, so if you're in southern New Hampshire or passing through Keene, check out this great store.
So this coming Saturday, September 28th, we'll be at the Wood Memorial Library, 783 Main Street in Windsor, Connecticut, for a presentation. South Windsor. South Windsor, Connecticut.
The different side of the river.
Yes, for a presentation and signing on my dad's new book, sponsored by the Book Club Bookstore. That will be at 1 p.m. Call 860-432-7411 for more information.
Yeah, on Thursday, October 3rd, we'll be back for our presentation at the Blackstone Public Library, 86 Main Street, Blackstone, Massachusetts, right here in our home listening area. Call 508-883-1931 for information.
And the next day, Friday, October 4th, begins the the 2-day Greater New England UFO Conference. That's Columbus Day weekend at the City Hall in Leominster, Massachusetts. Along with ourselves, speakers will include Calvin Parker, eyewitness to the Pascagoula UFO incident of 1973, Roxy Zwicker, William J. Hall, Jimmy Pantanino, Alexander Petikoff, Dave McCullough, Ronnie LeBlanc, Cheryl Costa, Mike Stevens, and Dennis Stone. Almost said Denise Stoner. So Dennis Stone. Yeah. Once again, the Friday section of the event will be Bigfoot Night, and we will speak that evening.
Yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun. Then on Saturday, October 19th, as our caller Aurelio just reminded us, comes the Western Connecticut UFO Conference at the Danbury, Connecticut Public Library, where we will speak for the third year in a row, and so will Shane. We'll be there as well, and I think his topic is absolutely fascinating, and don't disappear before you hear it. So visit danburylibrary.org for information.
And you can get our books, including Behind the Paranormal, Everything You Know Is Wrong, and Behind the Paranormal 2, Bigfoot, Mothman, and Monsters You've Never Heard Of, and now Dancing Past the Graveyard, Poltergeists, Parasites, Parallel Worlds, and God. They're available from online retailers and in some stores, but for autographed copies, please visit the online bookstore at BehindTheParanormal.com.
Let's go to Shane. What's going on with you? Tell people about your website, where people can find out more about your amazing work.
TrueGhost.com is my website. All my contact information is there. Not a whole lot going on, but I will be speaking at the Western Connecticut UFO Conference, and I will also be speaking on the 26th of October at Nelson's Candy Shop, downtown Wilton. They're having a Halloween bash.
Wilton, New Hampshire.
Yeah, Wilton, New Hampshire. And I will be speaking there along with a couple other speakers, and a band will be playing after.
Wow, cool. All right. So, Ben, what do we have for next week?
So, next week, September 29th, we will welcome back the globe-trotting British cryptozoologist, Richard Freeman, for a look at adventures in cryptozoology around the world.
And we'll leave you this afternoon with a quote from 20th century American author Norman Vincent Peale, sort of the father of positive thinking. Quote, "Change your thoughts and you change your world," unquote. I'm Paul Eno.
And I'm Ben Eno.
And I'm Shane Sirois. Thanks for joining us on a great cosmic journey, and we'll see you behind the paranormal.
Return to this radio frequency 167 hours from now.